text messages belonging to Alex Jones have been published by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And they reveal quite a bit. Look, I guess to summarize before we get into some of the actual texts, it shows a man who is depressed, has some serious substance abuse issues, and is a generally miserable person, which is kind of what we expect based on what we've seen from Alex Jones and the kind of trash and negativity he puts into the world. So now, first, let me address how the Southern Poverty Law Center got the texts. Well, first, it's from his own attorney. Back during the Sandy Hook lawsuit, his lawyer had accidentally sent the complete contents of his phone to the opposing attorney. That was Mark Bankston. Yeah. Now, look, the content of these messages, disturbing, to say the least. And I could understand some people not being comfortable with sharing these messages. Luckily, I am not one of those people. I will share them. Because it's not because I have disagreements on policy about, or things that Alex Jones believes on policy, right? It's because of the harm he's done. He has caused pain and suffering to numerous amounts of people, especially the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre. The families lost their children. He mocked them, lied about them, smeared them, called them crisis actors, and encouraged his followers to to stalk them, to harass them endlessly. People have gone to jail for it. One of the families had to move 7 times to get away from these unhinged followers. And by the way, aside from that, he made a ton of money from it, selling supplements, boner pills, a Brain Force Plus, Cock Force Plus, to prepper gear, to right wingers, to his followers. Made hundreds of millions of dollars, profiting off tragedy, death, and mockery. And so, look, apparently, though, from these texts, the stuff that he put out in the world was mainly done so not just for money, but I think to make other people as miserable as he seems to be. So let's get into it. The Southern Poverty Law Center describes Jones as extremely isolated and depressed, interacting with very few people outside of his company. Nearly everyone with whom he corresponds, outside of a few people in his family, connects with Jones through the relationship to Infowars, either as an employee or as another pro-Trump influencer. Now, one of the family members he does message is his father, David Jones. I want to actually read one of the exchanges here. This is following the judgment from Sandy Hook. So this was on about 3 p.m. He said, "It's no big deal. I get a notice via media, so I just need to start shutting down. I always get my legal news a few weeks late via news. Well, I just need to love it." Okay. By the way, his father didn't respond to it. A few hours later, sends more messages. "I don't blame you. I'm just freaked out. We're crazy mixed up. I is very scary." Again, there's a lot of typos here. And it could be related to the copious amounts of vodka, which feature prominently throughout these texts, that he apparently consumes on a regular basis. And says, "I is very scary to almost never to learn about stuff from yourselves." I don't know what that means. He's probably blasted. If very concerning, I assume he means It was very concerning. Nothing can stop it. It seems it's like gravity, a black hole. Okay. He then also received afterwards no response. Okay. Now, that idea of being in a black hole, right? And also he mentions in the text that he's in hell. It comes up a few times. Not a happy person. So, in fact, Josh Owens, who worked as a video editor for InfoWars back in 2013 to 2017, detailed back in 2019 in a feature published in the New York Times that Jones would regularly express despair and would confess to not wanting to run his company anymore in phone conversations with him. Interesting. Now, Owens told Hate Watch for this investigation in January that Jones sometimes even used the exact phrase, quote, black hole, to describe his life in private conversations. So this is not a happy person. Now, you might be tempted to feel bad for him. Don't. Look, I got to tell you, like, I know a lot of people have empathy. This is not someone you want to waste empathy on. Trust me. It gets worse. So he's got some relationship issues, right? With his third wife. And it's toxic, it's weird, and there's a lot of, again, I think personal hangups on the part of Alex Jones. So why don't we get into a little bit of that? Text messages on Friday, May 8th. That was back in 2020. He had been texting his wife, Erica Wolf, and said this, quote, "You hate as us. I see it in your eyes. You won't even talk to me. Pick up the phone now. You won't even break away for 1 minute just to talk to me. Sick. Hope you enjoy it. You hate us. You care less. So sick." Messages like that happen for over an hour. Sometimes the messages between them would end up with her not responding and then her phone putting one of those automatic away messages like, "I'm away from my phone. Please leave a message." And look, later on, by the way, in the report, they talk about how she basically wants a divorce. She wants to get out of here. Okay. So now, part of the reason that they have so much friction is that he is paranoid. And not just normal, like Alex Jones delusional paranoid, but even more so. To the point where he believed that he was being cheated on, that his wife's cheating on him, and he then had hired a Blackwater mercenary to follow her around to try to catch her in the act. And by the way, this is at the same time where Jones himself was cheating on his wife. So, I mean, it's just insane. He had hired private investigators to follow her around. Hate Watch found 2 instances where Jones contacts his security employee, former Austin Police Department officer and Blackwater mercenary Tim Enlow, to monitor his wife, even getting geographic location, GPS data. Oh my God. Now, again, he was cheating on her. In fact, Jones would contact Enlow to monitor Erica on days where he was also in touch with a woman. Her identity is being protected, so she's using a pseudonym. But Hate Watch says, "We know the identity. We're refusing to share it. That's good to protect her identity." This person's named Pat Johnson. Now, that's also an alias that he entered into his phone. And so Jones had texted Pat on the morning of May 11th, 2020, basically requesting a sucky. I'm pretty sure you're all aware of what that means. So I'm not going to have to get into details there. Okay. So 2 days after that, on May 13th, 2020, and 5 days after, Jones had his wife followed, and by the way, had even showed up at someone else's home to wait outside. Enlow sent a message to Jones that included screenshots from an Optimus 2.0 GPS tracker. Those messages showed her location in real time. And again, that surveillance takes place around the same time Joan was interacting with Pat Johnson. Pat Johnson, of course, being someone who would continuously send him like literal like white supremacist like content. Some of the stuff he'd even used on InfoWars. Now, one text exchanged basically had him asking her to run him a bath, while at the same time he was asking Enlow about where his wife was and what she was doing. And so overall, cheats on her, has her followed around. It's weird and amazing hypocrisy. Speaking of hypocrisy, there's more. That's a stance in pornography. Okay. Look, you might have seen some of the clips that we've played before or on other shows where like he rages, oh, pornography is the greatest evil, it's the biggest evil. Well, apparently, according to a former coworker, Owens, Jones would regularly text porn, links to Pornhub all over the office, share them with coworkers. Oh, hey, check this out. But on his show, he would talk about how evil it was, how it's destroying Western civilization. In fact, on March 25th, 2020, on his show, he claimed that, quote, nefarious actors pushed and legalized pornography. And by the way, those nefarious actors, of course, he referred to are the Jews. And pushed the pornography as part of a plot to, quote, end the family and reproduction and end the enjoyment of sex. You hear me? Sex is going to be gone with the porn. As soon as the camera's off. Hey, check out this porn. Oh, it's kind of hot. On March 5th, 2019, however, he told his audience, I'm not a porn guy. I'm sorry. Once I've been in the real thing and you have a wife and you have children, it's about life. It's about love. It's about laughter. I added that last part. Again, he's saying all this hypocritical stuff while he's, again, sharing porn with his coworkers, looking at it. Again, I don't care if you do it, but I don't care. It normally is not my business, but again, the hypocrisy bothers me. And by the way, you also might all remember that time where he accidentally, shared, I think it's either video or images from his phone when he was looking at transgender porn. I don't think there's anything wrong with consuming porn. I don't think there's anything wrong with consuming transgender porn. You're into what you're into. That's fine. I don't care. Do you have fun? But see, again, the thing about Jones is that he puts out so much negativity and hate towards the LGBTQ community, of which he actually might be a part of. Now, on his show, he regularly referred to the LGBTQ community as, quote, the LGBTP community, with the P standing for pedophile. So equating gay, trans, bisexual, all those different groups as pedophiles. And during a March 18th, 2019 episode of InfoWars, he said this, quote, because the truth is, it wasn't about gay marriage. It was always about sex with your children. That's right. It's a satanic ritual. It's going to drain off their energy, drain their innocence, drain their future. The only thing they like better is chopping up your children with a meat cleaver while they rape them. He's saying this stuff. And then behind the scenes, looking at trans porn. So it's a disgusting duality where he's trying to be like, oh, I'm so high and mighty, look at me. I'm defending Western civilization against depravity. Again, what he claims to be depravity. And then is like behind the scenes going, oh yeah, I love this depravity. Oh yeah, give me more of that. Yes.
Sexual anarchy.
I'll take more sexual anarchy. I'll take it all. look, by the way, he's also, I mean, getting back to the fear of his wife cheating, right? I have an idea. I have a theory. Might not be a fear, because according to the report, videos that he shares, and again, these are in the text messages, they have titles that include, ironically, cuckolding. Which, again, if you know, it's somebody who gets off on someone who watches their wife essentially have sex with another man. Huh. And also other things that he's into is hot slaves, and of course, gangbangs. So, I don't know. It seems to me, and again, this is my theory, right? I have no evidence of this, but I don't know. Maybe he's hoping that his wife is cheating. Which, again, there's the hired thug mercenary from Blackwater's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't find any evidence that she's cheating on you with another man or anybody. I just haven't found any evidence of that. Maybe he's secretly hoping she is, and he can bust in and then watch. He's looking up that porn. He might be into it. And again, I don't have a problem with that. You can be into whatever you're into. I don't really care. I'm just thinking maybe that's part of it. Now, another part of it could be, that he himself is self-loathing. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, other than the other self-loathing stuff, but specifically self-loathing member of the LGBTQ community. What do I mean by that? Well, there's evidence possible, to possibly say that he may be bisexual at least. Interesting. So in the text, in addition to viewing pornographic material involving group sex, his wife would send Joan a picture of a black man's erection in texts. There are no women in those photos. Jones and his wife also have exchanged messages expressing favorable views about bisexuality, which, again, no problem. Do you. Or all of you in a group. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And on February 1st, 2020, Erica Wolf Jones texts her husband and says, quote, "You be bi." Again, nothing wrong with that. Have fun. But again, I wouldn't have any problem with any of this stuff, and I don't have a problem with any of that particular stuff. That whatever you're into is whatever you're into. It's just a problem with putting out so much hatred at those very things in the world and being an incredible hypocrite in order to make money. That's the big problem. So, okay. Final thing that I want to talk about is the substance abuse. Another huge problem. Now, Jones, apparently, according to former coworkers, has a problem with drinking on the set during the day. An ex-employee, David, Mr. Drucker, told Hate Watch that Jones would walk around the office carrying a white Dixie cup, and 9 out of 10 times there would be vodka in it. He said Jones would corner him and just feed him shots of vodka. He also said, and vodka comes out a lot, he also said that Jones often started drinking as soon as he would arrive in the office, which might be as early as 9 in the morning, so serious substance abuse issues. He would also tell his employees and even his personal trainer, a man by the name of Patrick Riley, who he works out with, to bring him vodka throughout the day. On February 6th, 2020, he even texted Riley this, quote, "I'm sick. No slay." Now, slay is what they called working out. Okay. Riley responded, "Sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better." Jones then responded to that by saying, "Tell Derek to get me vodka." Isn't that the last thing you need when you're not feeling well? Again, the guy has a huge, huge drinking problem. And everybody around him knows it. And by the way, one of the texts is actually one of his, acquaintances, maybe friend, you could call it, because he doesn't have that many. had said something about it. In fact, this is Russia Today's Max Kaiser. So he's like this Bitcoin guy. He's like, Alex Jones, you should really invest in my Bitcoin. Well, okay. And I think Alex Jones did. That said, he also told him on March 10th, 2020, to take himself to an AA meeting. Oh, how actually decent of him. He says, quote, get to an AA meeting, dude. There are hundreds of them in your area. Trust me. You'll be glad you did. How nice. That's a little bit of humanity, I guess. Like, oh, dude, you're a wreck. You need to go and get some help. Yeah, I would say you need a lot of help. Now, look, Jones had also promised a bunch of different people, including his wife, that I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop drinking. In a conversation with Erica Wolf Jones on August 27, 2019, he referred to booze as demon alcohol. And he said that alcohol is killing us on March 6, 2020. 1 month later, on April 8, 2020, Jones writes, my folks will be done with us soon if we keep acting like hobos. I'm assuming, of course, he also refers to how he gets when he's drinking. So, look, there's so much more, but I've already shared enough. I feel like to get a real sense of how terrible this life's guy is. You might think like, oh, money, money will make us happy. Money makes people happy. This dude, up until recently, had a lot of money. Up until the Sandy Hook stuff took $1 billion from him. Thought the money would make you happy. No, this guy is a complete and utter wreck. Money does not make you happy. Now, that said, you do need money to survive. And so, yes, a certain amount of money to make sure that you can handle your bills, get health care, things that you need, to make your life a little bit easier. Yes, that matters. But having millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, that's not going to make you happy if you're a miserable person. In fact, it actually ends up making you, up to a certain point, once you get over a certain point of how much income you have, how much money you have, it doesn't make you happier. It actually makes you worse, more unhappy, because then you're getting into basically fighting with other people that have a little bit more money, and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and all that stuff. And it becomes a gigantic pissing match, and it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. But point of the story here is money not making you happy. Jones is a miserable human being. And again, I think he's taking that misery out on everyone else. Absolutely miserable. The guy's an absolute mess. There's isolation, paranoia, addiction, self-loathing, just a complete and utter mess. But I don't feel bad for him. And again, I urge you all not to feel bad for him, because at the end of the day, he's still a massive piece of shit. The problems that he has, let me tell you what, some people would rather go on the internet and say the most horrendous things about people than go to therapy. And that's Alex Jones. Go to therapy, dude. If I could make him take any piece of advice, go to therapy. Get some help. Get help, man. If anybody needs it, it's this guy.